Hey everybody, here is a fairly unexciting update because I'm literally watching concrete dry. So, I guess it's not particularly exciting, but yesterday I found out that cold concrete floors and cement primer preparer stuff don't generally mix. It took forever for the primed area to dry. You can kind of see the outline of where I went because I wasn't sure how far this low spot was. And I wanted to make sure that it was all prepped for applying this rapid set leveling concrete leveler compound. And I just finished pouring it and did as good a job as I could feathering the edges. As you can tell, I'm about as good a mason as I am a painter. So, that being said, just a few other updates to recap the week. I ended up getting a DeWalt drill and driver set, but the driver has issues. I got some other video of that. I might throw it up at the end of this if I can figure out how to edit it all together. But at first, this thing wouldn't spin at all. The battery's charged, of course. I tried that, tried both batteries. It works now, but when you run it, I put some extra screws into my table just to test it. You can see when it does work, it's a beast. It drives in screws like crazy. That part of it's awesome, but the rear bearing housing gets really hot, like uncomfortable to hold. So there's something wrong with this. It also occasionally stutter starts when you press the trigger. It doesn't accelerate smoothly, and yeah, that was not so good. So I put in a ticket with DeWalt. They're supposed to get back to me within 24 hours. That hasn't happened yet. We'll see what happens. This is another acquisition. I might have mentioned it before, but I got it for 85 bucks. Put a Hitachi blade on it, and I threw out the test pieces, but I had to tune up the 45 degree, which I don't know which direction that would be. That bevel. Once I adjusted the bolts here, that was perfectly square. This is actually the factory square adjustment right there, and it's dead on according to my good square. I've been cleaning up a little bit. I took off a bunch of stuff off the walls. That's going to get pressure washed and then painted, obviously. But I've got most of the lumber figured out. I just got to get some quotes on some prices. This mixer thing was fantastic. I had no chunks of cement in the bucket. It worked really well with that drill. So far, that drill's pretty fantastic. It's not the XR. The XR seemed like it was built a little heavier, but I really like the chuck on this thing. Normally I probably wouldn't get a large drill like this because I don't use them very often, but with the build of the shop, I'm going to need to put in Tapcons and hammer drill a bunch of stuff into the floor and the walls, so I needed a hammer drill. I do have an older DeWalt, but I don't know where the charger is. And this thing is legitimately probably 15 years old. I've got one battery, and getting a new battery and charger for this, well, I didn't really trust it, and quite frankly, I just needed something that I know is going to work. And there's a bunch of stuff I'll use that for, so it's no big deal. I'm definitely not giving up on my 12-volt Milwaukee. I love those tools. I actually prefer them to the bigger tools most of the time. Got myself an Empire framing square. I like the blue ones. They didn't hold up in the steel shop I worked at, but this isn't the same kind of work. I'm actually going to be using it for framing and not structural steel fabrication. At least I hope not. And yeah, I've got pretty much everything's pretty much set up. One goofy aside. Where is it? I got another key made for the shop. I ended up getting a little bit of a vanity key or whatever you call them, but I figure that the electric lightning on there would be a fun thing to differentiate that from all of the other quick-set keys that I've got in my thing. It's not a key bar, but it's the same kind of thing. A buddy of mine bought that for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and if you don't have one of these types of key organizers and you have a lot of keys, I do recommend them. I don't get stabbed in the thigh because I usually carry my keys in my cargo pocket. It doesn't make a whole bunch of noise, like the whole key bar thing. Stop the noise. Well, it is effective at that, and I really like it. So yeah, commenting again on the paint, I love these colors. I like the blue even more now that it's dried. You can see, well, this is concrete dust from me leaning up against the wall, but you can see I didn't hit this block because it's so porous. I didn't hit it 100% from every angle. So when the door is up, there is a bunch more visible white on there. When I frame and finish up the bathroom, I'll hit the outside of this again with the sprayer, because I'm probably going to keep the same color scheme around the bathroom too. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but I have now got a meter, and it's just sitting there doing its thing. I did get my first bill, and for some reason it seems to be a lot higher than I would expect for a month of pretty much not having a meter on the building. So I called today, and evidently it's some kind of holiday, which I forget about because I don't work for anybody else that gives holidays off. So yeah, that is kind of dumb. I can't get through to the billing department because evidently they're off. So much for other companies, especially utilities, taking care of people. But I can call back on a Saturday. So Saturday, tomorrow, I can call in the morning and figure out what's up with the bill. I'm pretty sure that whatever it is, I'm going to get stuck paying it, but whatever. It is what it is. I'll just have to suck it up and pay it because it's a monopoly. So yeah, I've got a solution figured out for the bottom of this, although it needs some repairs. You can see that the bottom frame is kind of coming off. I need to get some self-tappers. There's cheap kits that fit along the bottom of the door. You just drill up through them. They have a rubber gasket that can seal up to over 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's more than enough to seal this gap up. I found some strips of the same kind of seal. I'm probably just going to cut a short piece off of that and stick it over there. I don't need to be bothered replacing the whole door. It's sealed up pretty well. And I actually got to swap over this pull thing because I did swap over the lock, but I totally forgot to swap over the thing to pull this down, and I'll probably get another piece of rope because that's half frayed and looks horrible. Excuse me. Yeah, of course, I would have preferred to have had everything done in here by now, but there's been some personal life stuff going on that's taken priority, and that's okay. That's what life is about. And that's why I actually started working for myself, to have the freedom to be able to take care of that stuff. And it's good. It's all good. We'll make it work and it'll be awesome. So yeah, I appreciate the encouragement that a lot of you guys have been giving me, saying that the work looks good so far. I thank you for your generosity. Because it's like a car that's, what do they call it? It's a 20 car. It looks good from 20 feet away. But anything pretty much looks better than this mess that's in here. So I'm learning as I go, and I haven't touched concrete in ages, and I haven't used a paint sprayer on a wall before, so I think I'm doing pretty well. And actually I'm kind of looking forward to you guys seeing me actually work in this space, because I'm a lot better with fabrication. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you see a lot of the stuff I do for the race car stuff. You've seen some of the stuff that I do for structural fab. I'm like putting together this table. I really am looking forward to getting that together so I can actually weld on stuff. There's a few things that I know I need that I'll be doing pretty quickly, but it's here, and I just gotta keep at it. So another thing that I noticed last night, let me get these lights flipped on here so I can show you what I'm talking about. And for whatever reason, this is the light switch for this side that's gonna get changed. So whoever framed this section couldn't level the front and the back, and it's also sagging all along the middle by about, I forget what it was, about half an inch. So the plan is, this is actually a door. It's just nailed or screwed shut. I don't know why they would do that, but they did it. So this is going to be redone. I'll take it apart and maybe replace some of the wood that wasn't cut quite so well, and you can kind of see daylight through there. I don't really prefer that, but there's going to be a wall along here that's sectioning this off into two spaces, and the far side is going to be the office, and this is going to be insulated and heated. So that is going to be for computer stuff. That's going to be for a bunch of other things that should be kept a little bit nicer, like office equipment, keep it out of the dust of the shop. I was going to put my mill in the back of this corner, but this is nominally 6'6", and the mill is probably not going to fit. Yeah, it may fit, but I won't be able to change anything with the drawbar, which is kind of silly. I have actually considered cutting a hole in the floor up there, but I think that's a little much. So I'm probably going to put my mill in this corner back here. It's big. I think you guys will be surprised when you see it. It's not a Bridgeport. If you want to go digging back through my blog, you can see pictures of that and some video earlier in YouTube. So yeah. Oh, and since it's quiet in here, I'm the only one around here today. Across the street, they work 410s. They don't usually work Fridays, and my next door neighbors are heating and air conditioning guys, and they don't have any big jobs right now, so they're not in the shop. You can hear the stupid hum of all these fluorescent lights. It drives me nuts. That's part of the reason why I wear my hearing protection, is just to not have to deal with the hum. It just drives me absolutely batty. I am going to be putting in LEDs. I already have them picked out. I'm getting 10 8-foot LED tubes, single tubes, and I'm going to space them. I'm going to leave the original lights in because I'm not messing with them, and also I have no desire to not take my LEDs with me as long as they're still functioning if and when I leave the shop. Well, actually, it's probably going to be when. It's just a matter of time, hopefully before I outgrow the space, and that may be a little ego there, but I do think it's possible, and it almost kind of has to happen for me to be able to build and manufacture everything that I want to bring to market, and hopefully help you guys out with some of the products that I've gotten coming along that just make your lives easier, make assembling things faster, so you can make more money and lower prices or stay competitive. So surprisingly, this staircase is pretty darn solid. I'm not a light person, and it creaks a little bit, but it doesn't deflect too much. And this is the upper area. You can kind of see that the joists are not exactly level. I don't really care for that. It is what it is. But this obviously needs some lighting up here. There was lighting at one point. Oh, there's the heat going on again. I don't want to run that thing much more, but I've had to. It actually points pretty well over towards the entrance, so it is keeping that corner warmer. Actually, you can see maybe the air is moving my long sleeve shirt there, so it is warming up that area pretty well. So that's why I've had it turned up to heat up that area and dry things over there. But these things aren't super efficient. They do move a lot of heat, hot air, I should say, and it does keep the space a bit warmer. But I'd prefer to use that just for freezing protection and more than staying warm. That's why the office is going to be heated and probably air conditioned, because I would like one space that's air conditioned. And then the bathroom is going to have an electric convection heater in there that'll keep the pipes from freezing and also keep your butt from freezing when you're using the toilet. So, but up here, I'm actually planning on setting up some storage. I'm planning on setting up my electronics bench, because I do electronic stuff like chipping ECUs for cars. And also my 3D printer will probably go up here. That'll be out of the way. It's a little bit noisy, although I need to install the stepper dampers that I got for it. But it'll just be out of the way. I'm going to enclose it so it's not going to be subject to dust getting in.